there. Their offensive sets were they were crisp. The guys moved without the ball. They cut hard. And it was a bad matchup for Carolina. I told you that after they won the opening game against Iowa State, and then we beat Alabama. I was like, this was probably worst case scenario for Carolina.
Yep.
Was we probably wanted Iowa State because Iowa State was probably dumb enough to try to run with us. And I felt like we could outrun them.
The problem is that Michigan had points in the game where they were trying to speed the tempo up too, and Carolina just could not respond, which was very, very shocking to me. That's not what you want to see.
The lack of transition defense has been evident not just in this tournament.
Right. It's
been there from day one. It's been very dumbfounding, the fact that Carolina is not getting back on defense, because when they've put the team in the half court, Carolina's half court defense, for the most part, hasn't been bad, hasn't been great, but it's Carolina. We're not known for playing great individual or team defense anyway.
Right.
It's when you're giving up those easy buckets that's what you've got to get where you want to go to, because we're not good in the half court on offense, is the most frustrating part. Did you think in this game, because Carolina they struggled to control the ball or stay in front of the ball?
Right.
Should have zone at least at one point just been thrown out there and just? I've always thought, because our zone defense is bad, because we don't play zone.
Right.
But maybe it's that bad that it screws with the other team's head and it gets you back in the game.
I mean, early in the game, I would have been willing to go with just about anything, because they were getting to the basket as easy as. As easy as you could make it on them. I mean, they were walking to the basket, no problem. And, it was pointed out, a lot of people were probably yelling and screaming because apparently Dick Vitale is like the worst human on the face of the planet, according to Tar Heel Nation. He was right, though. They were making it just way too easy for Michigan to get to the basket. And then what ended up happening is you made it easy for them to get to the basket in the half court. Once you started turning it over and they started running with you and you didn't get back, they were able to make easy lay-ins at the rim, no problem. And then what seemed to happen is once you were able to find a solution for taking that away, it was too late, because their outside game started heating up, and then you were in trouble. Because I cannot remember his first name, Brooks. I have to look it up. I have to look it up right here. Eli Brooks. Eli Brooks was the big guy that heated up. But, everybody – it was just like in the Alabama game. Once they got into a rhythm shooting the three ball, all of a sudden there was nothing that Carolina could do, because not only were you struggling defending them inside, once you figured that out, they were able to knock down the outside shot. So everything that really could have gone wrong for Carolina went wrong. But the problem is when you let a team get confident by letting them to the basket as easy as you did early on, it's hard to just all of a sudden turn it on defensively and find a way to shut them down. And, they did it late in the game, which got them back in. You wonder if Michigan maybe took their foot off the gas just a little bit too early. But I like to think that we just got to give Carolina credit for battling back into the game. But if you don't you don't allow that 19-0 run to be 19-0 run. If let's say it's a 7-0 run, 9-0 run, and you stop it,
it's a different ball game.
It's a totally different game. But the thing is that's one of those games you're going to look back on. I know there were a lot of people that were once again criticizing Roy Williams for not taking a timeout. You are a jackass, and you deserve to be called that, because we do this every year. We do this every single year. He knows what he's doing. He has 3 national championships. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He just passed Adolph Rupp and Jim Calhoun and is about to pass Dean Smith on the all-time wins list. I'm pretty sure that his game plan is better than yours from the couch.
And speaking of that, it didn't take long for Tar Heel Twitter after the loss to do what they do whenever we lose a game, no matter who the opponent is, and that's freak out.
Say the season's over.
Yeah,
Yep.
Freak out, season's over.
That's right.
I sent you 2 tweets. We won't say the account's names on Twitter.
I'll say the accounts. I don't care.
If you want to go to that route, you'll go there.
Yeah, I really don't care.
You had, his handle was Prime VC. His name is just a lightning bolt. If Roy called a timeout earlier in Michigan's run, we could have came back. We cut it down to 8 and showed fight. Everything started clicking after the timeout. Losses on Roy. Ran that trap too much. And the offensive sets were not doing it. Just got to work on finishing close. That one wasn't as bad.
Oh, that's pretty bad, though, because loss is on Roy.
Yeah. No.
20, you were trailing by 24 at one point.
Yep.
But that's on the coach, right?
And then you have our guy, Kevin Watson. I've long followed him, and for some reason I don't know why.
Yeah.
This is a bubble team that might go 2-8 in ACC road
Spells
play.
bubble wrong, by the way.
Yes.
B-U-B-L.
Winning games on the road will be a struggle with no scoring options from the outside. The second part of the tweet's fine.
He's got that right.
He
No,
brings a valid
no
point.
punctuation either. Very bad. Very bad.
If you're going to criticize, get your spelling and punctuation right. The problem is, and this is how we'll move into the Oregon game, was the next day kind of felt big for it to be a November game.
I got to mention this one too. This was not one that we sent between each other, but you saw. There's so many accounts that have like the Tar Heel recruiting or whatever. There was one account that has the picture of Sam Howell. I can't remember what the name of the actual account.
The guy that said
Tar Heel Pits or something like that.
That if they
he said after the Michigan game. If they beat Oregon tomorrow, he will not tweet about the basketball team the rest of the year. There we go. Let's transition into the Oregon game.
So the Oregon game, I felt like, for me, going in, even though it was November, third-place game, it felt big because it was more about how was Carolina going to respond after getting punched in the mouth yesterday. Roy Williams said it in the postgame on Thanksgiving. We play tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Good, because I don't want to wait 7 damn days to get better. And that's how I felt. I was anxious to see this Carolina team to play because I'm a really big believer in Oregon. I've watched Oregon a little bit early when they played Memphis out in the PK80 tournament. A lot of talent on the floor that night, and they looked really good. And I think you learned a lot about what Oregon is, because we won't see Oregon a lot because they play in the Pac-12. They're going to stay up really late. I was concerned about their length because they have a lot of length, and they play
Don't they have a guy with, I think it's the biggest wingspan in college basketball.
And Jimmy Dykes, loved to bring that up every time that he was shown.
Unbelievable.
And they also like to press and play a zone defense. So it was a lot of challenging stuff for Carolina.
Yeah.
And I thought, for the most part, they handled it very well. Armando Bacot came out and said, this is how the game's going to be played. It's going to be played inside through me. Match my energy, match my strength on the interior. Oregon couldn't. 23 points, 7 of 9 from the field, 9 of 10 from the foul line, grabbed 12 rebounds, and really picked up the slack because Garrison Brooks didn't know if he was going to play because he got a corneal abrasion in the Michigan game, could barely see out of one eye, came out wearing some goggles, threw those away. Gave you 9 points.
Twice, because he came out with them after halftime, and then said, these still ain't working.
Scored 9 points, 10 rebounds, but it was more because he was following what Bacot was doing on the interior. Mm-hmm. And I really thought it was the first time Cole Anthony's the best player, but I think that Armando may be the most important player because if he does that, it makes life so much easier for Cole Anthony on the outside, makes this team so much better. And there's not many big men in the country that are going to be able to compete with his size and strength. And he finally ran the floor.
Yeah, no, I think that was, first of all, in my opinion, Carolina's best overall game of the entire season. And then, yes, Armando Bacot, it continues to show his growth. Again, the numbers may not always increase every single game, but as you go along, you continue to see those things that you want to see from Armando. You can see that after it was pointed out in the game against Gardner-Webb, he has been, holding the ball a little bit higher, going up a little bit stronger with the basketball. Look, there's still times where both him and Garrison haven't gone up strong.
Right.
That happens every game, it seems. I don't know why. That's something they've got to get adjusted. But, you look at him, the other thing that's really important that he's doing so far, he is extremely efficient So I mean, everybody had a rough game against Michigan, and I put in the article the layup numbers are just shocking this year. They were under 50% heading into the game on layups in this season. But against Oregon, that wasn't a problem. And that's what you got to have from Armando Bacot and Garrison Brooks, too, is your big men have to be efficient inside. When they get the looks and take them, they've got to make those shots because let's just be honest, you're not going to shoot well from the outside. You're going to have those moments where you're going to be able to knock down a few jump shots, but for the most part, most of your jump shooters this season will shoot well under 50%. You need your big guys to shoot really well inside, or else you're going to be in trouble. And in this game, they did, and you saw the difference. And, I mean, there were a couple other things that really stuck out to me. I know that it was only a +8 on the glass. I thought Carolina really just dominated the glass when they had to. They picked the right times to string together rebounds. And it seemed like when you were watching that game, at the end of the game when they came back and said it was 47-38 or 47-39 on the glass, I was like, there's no way. Carolina looks so much better than them on the glass. I thought they dominated on the glass, especially with the size of Oregon.
I think the thing that Carolina did well was when they needed to get that rebound in that situation, in that possession, they were tough enough to go get the ball. And you're right, 47-39, I felt the same way watching the game. I was like, I feel like we got rebounded them 10-15.
Right.
+8 ain't bad against Oregon. I'll take that any day of the week because I'm a really big fan of what they got going on inside. And it also,
I think people don't realize that because all they talk about whenever they put Oregon on is Pritchard.
Yeah,
he's been there and he's a great shooter.
He's a hell of a player.
He is.
And Jimmy Dykes made the comparison that if he had to pick a point guard to run his team, he's picking that guy.
Okay, that is
now.
I
don't
agree with that.
I'm gonna take Cassius Winston.
That's the guy
right
there.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the guy.
Carolina just
is Miles Powell.
No, he's a shooting guard.
Okay, I was going to say that's my guy, but yeah,
they just and also something that they did that. Well, I got two things.
Okay,
unsung hero of this game, Baby Jet, entered the game at the 10-minute mark or so. Cole Anthony left after picking up a fourth foul, which I'm pretty sure when Roy Williams showed him the film, that fourth foul he picked up was unnecessary, trying to fight over a screen. It was a dumb play.
That was kind of the story of his foul troubles out here in Atlantis. Very unnecessary.
But he exited. Carolina was up 5. When he came back in the game, Carolina was up 9. Now you look at Baby Jet's stat line: 0 points, 0 field goal attempts, 0 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover. But he did the things that
the last part's my favorite part about all that, because this is a guy that was not on scholarship until before the season. So to say, if you're praising that he had one turnover, that's ridiculous. He should have had no turnovers. This dude, no offense, if you would have said to people, okay, KJ Smith has to play important minutes in this game against Oregon,
Carolina's going to lose.
Yeah, you would say, okay, we're in some really deep trouble. But I thought, you're right. He did exactly what he had to do. Took care of the basketball. I thought, there were even times where he was pushing the pace, which I'm like, this is something else. A great pass to Armando for the slam. By the way, did you see after the assist, he does the Jet celebration back down the floor? That was cool. But no, I think you're right. I wrote that in the in my analysis of the game. Him coming in was huge because he came in. I remember it. He came in at the 10:15 mark and left at the 3:45 mark of the second half. And that's the thing. You were kind of sitting there wondering, because there were times during that stretch where Oregon would, claw a little bit closer. They would get within 4, 3. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, we got to go back to Cole. We got to get him back on the floor here. But Roy stuck with him because KJ wasn't, it wasn't KJ that was the issue. It was the other guys on the floor. So I thought that was huge.